you introduce me to a man that I walk down the aisle and get married to, I will give you $5,000. My DMs are open.
I was a pastor's wife for 20 years, and when I left that marriage, I was terrified. One thing that saved me is I learned to become very strategic very fast. I had no job, no money, no work history, no home, no idea where I was going to live, no attorney, no education. I was literally starting from ground zero.
I've never checked his phone before, but there's a first for everything, so I went right to that phone. And in his pocket, I found a letter addressed to me, which I opened and read, and it basically said that he had been cheating on me, but who it was with and how long it was going on for was none of my business. And I was like, he also said things like, oh, if we get divorced, you're going to be destitute because like everything that we have is mine, so you're not going to have anything.
This woman is paying anyone $5,000 who can find her a husband. She's gotten to a point of her life where she has to pay to find a man. But what is marriage? If you're going to leave when things gets bad, why bother being married? She's gotten to a point where money is the only thing keeping a man in her life.
I was a pastor's wife for 20 years, and when I left that marriage, I was terrified. One thing that saved me is I learned to become very strategic very fast. I had no job, no money, no work history, no home, no idea where I was going to live, no attorney, no education. I was literally starting from ground zero.
You need to start getting asked to be set up. It is truly, like we were saying before, like the most human thing.
So I made this bet with my boss like a couple years ago, and I've now added my best friend, her husband, and a couple other friends. But I feel like I'm just going to open it up to the general public because I'm good for it. So the bet/offer is if you introduce me to my husband and I marry him, I will give you $5,000. I don't have to stay married to him for long. I can get divorced in 20 years. It doesn't matter. But if you introduce me to a man that I walk down the aisle and get married to, I will give you $5,000. My DMs are open.
This is what hitting the wall looks like. This woman is desperate. She probably dried up all of her options, and now she's looking to buy a husband. She even said she didn't care if the guy stayed with her for a long time. You can't buy real love, ma'am. Sorry.
You get divorced, you quite literally promise to spend the rest of your life with this person. You quite literally planned and built your life around spending forever with that person. And so with that being said, you put a lot of trust into that person and you give them all of you. Emotionally, physically, mentally, like every part of you, you willingly give to them under the belief that you are safe, that they are never going to hurt you. Even if they hurt you, they will always choose you. They will fight for you forever and ever. And that you will never be separated from this person. I would not wish divorce on my worst enemy because it was the most painful thing that I've ever been through. It's terrible. It is terrible to believe that you are going to be with someone forever and not only lose them, but lose yourself in the process.
Divorce isn't for everyone. Some people think it's some happiness fairy tale. They have some unrealistic expectations. And when things gets bad, they quick to leave you. You must go into marriage thinking, there's gonna be good times, bad times, sad times, but I will always choose you on either time. Now let's listen to a woman who's been divorced for 20 years.
I post a lot of my disaster dating stories, but probably one of the most powerful stories is the story of how I got divorced. I moved to LA when I was 25 years old, and 3 weeks after I got here, I met a man who was a television agent, and he ended up being my best friend. He was super funny. We had a lot of energy together, so we did lots of fun things. Everything was like wonderful and great. And after 3.5 years of dating, we ended up getting married. Married life was pretty good. Like we were both really career centric. And so, our careers were going amazing. And then we decided that we were going to have kids. And then we had 2 kids, 2 daughters. So when our daughters were 1 and 4, things started to be a little bit weird. So he suggested that we start going to couples therapy, which we did. And that's when things started to get really weird. And he was saying things like, you should have more sex with me because I'm Superman in the bedroom. And I'm thinking like, I'm looking at him like, he also said things like, oh, if we get divorced, you're going to be destitute because like everything that we have is mine. So you're not going to have anything. So that caused me to do a little bit of digging. So I went to our money manager because we had a lot of money at that point. And I went to our money manager and I said, can you please give me all of the withdrawals from this account for the last 2 years? And he did. So he basically sent me the withdrawals, 3 of which I recognize. And the 4th one was a check to Tiffany around Valentine's Day, the jewelry store. So I thought to myself, God, has he gotten me anything from Tiffany? So I checked our bank accounts, and no, he didn't. He actually got me a Burke Williams gift card, which I remember vividly because he was really pissed that I took too long when I went to go get my massage. So clearly I sent him the charge, and I was like, any idea what this is for? He replies and says, oh, we can talk about it when I get home. So he comes home later that night, and he's acting super weird, and he starts packing a bag, and he says, something tells me that you're not going to want to see much of me after we have our conversation. And then we both kind of go in separate rooms because I'm putting our youngest daughter, who's 1 at the time, to bed, and he's putting our oldest daughter, who's 4, to bed. So after I put our youngest daughter to bed, I decide that basically he's definitely cheating on me, and he's pretty much going to leave, and that I was kind of like, F it. So I hear his phone buzz in his jacket pocket. So I'm like, I've never checked his phone before, but there's a first for everything. So I went right to that phone. And in his pocket, I found a letter addressed to me, which I opened and read, and it basically said that he had been cheating on me, but who it was with and how long it was going on for was none of my business. And I was like hell it's not. So I searched his phone. I couldn't find anything. I finally went to his email drafts, and I found a email that he had sent to his former assistant that basically was asking her for more time to leave me so he could be with her.
Cheating is most definitely wrong, but what caused it in this case was lack of communication. The husband did try and tell the wife she should sleep with him more, but she ignored his feelings. I'm not saying what he did was right, but the cheating could have been avoided if she would have been doing her job.
So I did what any scorned wife would do. I forwarded that email to myself. I decided that I needed to make sure that I had all of our financial records, and I didn't know where he kept them. And I noticed that when I went out to our filing cabinet, he actually had taken all of our financial records from the house. So I was like PI mode. I went out to his car, and in his car, I found all of our financial records, and I stashed them in the house before he came out. So he sits me down on the couch, and he's being all melodramatic, and he hands me this letter, which, by the way, I'd already read, and he's like, here you go. So I pretend to read the letter for the 2nd time, and then when I get to the end of the letter, I say, actually, I have something that I would like to read to you. And I started reading the email that I found about him talking to his former assistant about leaving me.
This woman is ranting on about what he did, but what she's not telling us is what she did to him. That caused him to do that. For some reason, they always leave that part out. No man just gets up and say, today I'm going to cheat on my wife. It doesn't work like that. Something is missing here.
And he says, well, it looks like somebody snooped through my phone. So when he leaves after we get in this big fight about him cheating, he goes out to his car and he realizes that I have all of his financial records. And so he is like trying to get back in the house, and I'm holding the deadbolt, and I'm like, get the hell out of here. Finally, he leaves, and I go and I check that folder. And in that folder, I found all of his passcodes. So I found every single correspondence that he had with her that was like basically plotting how he was going to get out. I knew when it started. I knew how long it went on for. I found out everything. And being cheated on for 2 years is really shitty. But really what made the whole situation worse was 5 days later, my mom died suddenly. So in the matter of a week, I not only lost my husband, I lost my mom. And I said to myself, I was like, I am not going down like this. Like, the narrative of life after divorce was either like, marry a rich guy, so if you can have financial security. I already did that. That sucked. I'm not doing that again. Or be alone and like have 12 cats. And I don't even like cats, so that's not happening. So I decided that I was going to create a new narrative for life post-divorce, and I was going to share everything, like the good parts, the bad parts, the entire freaking journey. Because life after divorce doesn't have to be terrible. And whether or not I'm like posting things about disaster dates or about my kids or about my divorce story, I know that I deserve to be happy, and that doesn't mean that it has to be centered around some dude. I'm happy here. And I'm going to continue to be happy. And I'm going to share all of it. Because ultimately, We're not alone in this. We're never alone. We all go through the same things.
Before getting married, just remember that there are ups and downs. You're not going to be happy all the time. And like this woman said, she has the option to live alone and die with 12 cats. But who want that kind of lifestyle really? Maybe if she did try to listen to her husband, the cheating could have been avoided. Subscribe.